In Canada right now, you can go to jail for words. Not violence, not threats, just words. A man in North Bay, Ontario, Kenneth Paulin, 51 years old, was sentenced to 9 months in jail for denying the Holocaust. That's not a rumor. That's real. 9 months in prison, not for what he did, but for what he said. Since when did speech become a crime? Since when does the government get to decide which opinions are allowed and which ones aren't? Freedom of speech means exactly that. The freedom to speak, to use your own mouth, to express your own thoughts without fear of punishment. That's not a privilege. That's a human right. It should be protected. It should be absolute. It should never depend on who's in power or what the topic is. Free speech is the right to say the most stupid, vile, immoral, inaccurate things imaginable, because if you only defend speech you agree with, you don't believe in free speech at all. The best remedy to false information expressed by free speech is more free speech. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need the government's blessing to speak. And here's the part that should bother every so-called conservative. This didn't start with the Liberals. It started with a conservative MP, Kevin Waugh. He introduced Bill C-250, a proposal to make Holocaust denial a criminal offense. That bill didn't pass on its own, but the Trudeau government quietly folded it into the 2022 budget, Bill C-19. Now under a section of the criminal code, you can be charged and jailed for denying or downplaying the Holocaust. But here is the question. Who is deciding what those words actually mean? Who is defining downplaying? Who is defining denying? A bureaucrat, a prosecutor, a politician, an activist judge? Once you hand that kind of power to the state, the power to define and punish speech, it never stops there. It always grows because power always grows. And that's the paradox of censorship. When the government forbids you to say something, people start to believe it must be true. When you outlaw an opinion, you don't destroy it. You validate it. You make it stronger. Instead of stopping misinformation, censorship fuels it. It turns disbelief into curiosity and curiosity into conviction. And here's a double standard. Here's the hypocrisy. This October, an immigrant truck driver who previously killed 2 people and fled the country was just granted bail. A man can take lives and walk free, but another can be jailed for words. That's not justice. That's ideology. Free speech isn't about what's popular. And it's not about what's responsible, it's about the right to speak, and to be left alone while doing it. You don't defend freedom by criminalizing speech, you defend freedom by refusing to let government touch it in the first place. And the fact that this came from a so-called conservative shows how far that party has fallen. They're not conserving liberty, they're conserving control. So yes, Canada just jailed a man for words. And if you think it ends there, you're not paying attention. Because once free speech becomes a crime, thought becomes a crime next. Free speech is a human right. It belongs to every person, no exceptions, no conditions, and no one should ever go to jail for what they say. Not in a free country, not ever.